How's it going, guys? So it's been highly requested that I do a short video, or maybe not so short, but a video on support and resistance, and how this can kind of determine entry points. Now, this is a huge thing that you must know when it comes to trading stocks. It doesn't matter if you're day trading, swing trading, or long-term trading. Everybody needs to know what is support and resistance. So I'm going to try and break this down as simply as I can for you, okay? So support, you can think about it as the floor that you walk on every day. There is support at your feet, right? So when you wake up in the morning and you get out of your bed, you step onto the floor. You're not falling through it because it's the floor. That's where you have support. That's your safety right there. Support is your bottom level kind of safety point, where you could feel safe at getting into a position if it's strong support. Okay. Now resistance, you can kind of think about it as a ceiling. Okay. Most of us never touch our ceiling, but you can think of it as a ceiling, right? It's like the tippy top of your house, right? Chances are you're not going to get through it. Okay. A lot of times what we call resistance is like the high point where we have trouble getting through that specific area. Oftentimes in the stock market, when you're trading, we do break through resistance, and that's what we call like a resistance breakout. And I'm going to show you one on the chart I'm looking at right now. It's called VN. This specific stock is VNCE. So what you really need to take away, the basic simple understanding of support and resistance, is support is kind of like the bottom where it may be safe to get in. It's where a stock has touched multiple times, showing there is a certain level of support at a given point, which makes people feel comfortable getting into a trade, knowing that this stock, the price has touched any given area more than one time and it's failed to go through that, so it may be safe to get in knowing that it has trouble going through this given area. And then resistance, obviously, is when a stock rides up or runs up and hits maybe $1. Then it sells down to 90 cents. And then it comes back up and hits $1. Then it drops and hits $1. And then it drops. And I'm going to go over a few examples so you can understand what I'm talking about. So here is a good one. This is a stock I called out yesterday, VNCE. I called it out in the morning along with a few others. This happened to be the good pick that I chose. And I chose to play a break above 64 cents. I said if this stock can break 64 cents, then we're going to see it run up. Okay. Why did I pick 64 cents? Well, there's a few different things, but the main reason was the fact that 64 cents was right here. Right this, I'm going to draw it, right? Well, before we do that, you see it hit here. 1, 2, 3, pre-market, close, but not quite 64 cents. It was at 62 cents. But this is why I called 64 cents would be a good play on VNCE yesterday. And yesterday was the 10th? I think it was July 10th. And that's why I called it, right? So now you can see that during this day of trading, the stock rode up, it peaked out, sold down, we came back up to test that previous high, we sold down again, we came back up a third time to test 64 cents, and it could not break through. So what that tells me is that VNCE, this stock on this day, was having a hard time or having a lot of trouble getting through the 64 cent mark. It was showing a strong resistance. There was a strong ceiling. There was this big wall that, for whatever reason, couldn't get through, right? You just could not get through that resistance point right here. So going into the next day of trading, I specifically said, if it can break 64 cents, we will see this thing run up. What happens? As soon as we break through 64 cents, we run up, but we shortly come down after, but then we come back up. And after that 64 cent break, it practically ran up for a good majority of the day, for a total of 25%. If you traded that whole thing, chances are you're not going to get 25%. More or less, you're going to get around 20 or 19, 15. If you held it all the way through. So there was a perfect example of what you could call like a flat top breakout or a resistance breakout, where the previous day we seen the price go up, hit a resistance point, come back down, hit a resistance point, come back down, hit a resistance point 3 times. So going into today's trading, sure enough, I'm like, okay, if this thing hits 64 cents 3 times, sure enough, if it can break through 64 cents today, then this would be a good play, because if it had trouble doing it 3 times in a row, and if we finally get that breakthrough, we now have a breakout. We have broken through that ceiling point. Now, who knows where the stock's going to go. Now it comes down to watching the candlesticks and level 2 and whatnot. But that was a key resistance breakout. Now on this chart, it's not, as clear as a resistance point, but a support level was kind of around, you could say the support was right about 58 cents here, where the stock was just kind of fumbling around on this line. If I zoom in, it might make it a little bit more clear. But you see the stock was kind of just fumbling around. Actually, it was on 57 cents, right about 58, 57 cents right here. Right on that line. You notice the stock came down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20, who knows, a bunch of times. So it came down and it tested that lower level multiple times and then ended up bouncing back up. So that was showing that we have now found support intraday, which was right along here. So you could potentially get in on an entry right at 57 cents once you notice it was holding up. Personally, the volume's really low, so there would really be no point of jumping in right here for a move in this day, because there's not enough volume to bring that price up to a significant gain. So that is one example. Now you can find support and resistance on intraday, so day trading, on weekly charts, monthly charts, 1-year charts, 3-year charts. Support and resistance works on every single time frame, no matter what. Okay? So that's something you can think about, that support and resistance, there is usually a support and a resistance, whether it's 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, 2 weeks, 5 weeks, a month, 3 months, doesn't matter. There is always some sort of support and resistance. Okay, you just have to find it. I'm going to take a look at HUSA. Why? Because I know for a fact this has a strong resistance point right at $1. Okay, so I'm going to hop out into a 20-day, 1-hour time frame. So here, for example, look at this, right? So this is a 1-day chart, or no, it's like a 10-day, 1-minute chart. But given this 1 day, right, we peaked out at 94 cents. So just remember this. We peaked out at 94 cents. This was just 2 days ago that we peaked out at 94 cents, close to $1. If we go into a 20-day, 1-hour time frame, I guarantee that 94 cents at 95 cent mark is resistance. Oh, that's not a long enough time frame. Maybe 180. So yes, right about here. So this will work. So the first time we ever hit 105 on this specific play was right here. Now look where the resistance is at. The last time it didn't get quite that high, but if you notice, resistance is at $1. We dropped down, we sold all the way back up, we came close to $1, then we sold down, we came back up, hit 97 cents or 92 cents or something like that. Not quite as high, but very close. And then what happens? It quickly sold back down. Now this stock hasn't really found a strong support on 180 days, right? We sold down and we fumbled right at about 56 cents. Now, I'm not going to go into old breakouts and new supports and all that stuff. I'm just going to keep it very simple. But this one hasn't really found a solid, resistance or a support level. But if this stock sells down again and touches around 53, 54 cents and bounces, now we have found a strong support area. If this stock can sell down right to this yellow bar and find another bounce off, now we have actually, for sure found a support level. Another good one that just recently broke support is Cara Therapeutics, okay? I already have the line drawn for you. I'll zoom in a little bit. And I'm getting ready to swing trade this one really soon here. As soon as I see that upward momentum, I'm going to be swing trading Cara. But let's look at this, right? This is a 180-day chart. Okay, let's just look at where I have. I'll draw another line. Now this one isn't as good. Hold on. Zoom out a little bit. All right, so I'm going to draw it from about here all the way over to there. The white's a little bit easier to see. A little bit easier on the eyes. Okay, zoom out a little bit. So, for example, on Cara, what do we have here? The stock touched, touched again, went up, dropped down, touched 1, 2, went up again, and then we just broke through support here. So as you can see, when the stock finally came up and sold down, it bounced off the price of about $13, $14, $13.50, right around that area. It bounced up, came back down a little bit, tested that $13.50, $14 area once again, and then it ripped up, right? So if you miss this move and you see it coming down, a good time to buy into the stock is when we get closer to $13.50, $14, where we previously seen the stock bounce twice. It tested that level of $13, $13, $14 area 2 times and bounced up. So now we know that in that specific zone, that specific $14 zone, we have a support. So buying in right here is not a bad idea, knowing that we've bounced real close to that price point 2 times already. Now it goes up. Let's say you missed this move, and now you see it trickling down. Your next entry would be on this specific zone where we have that line draw. Your next entry is on that support level. Look what happens if you buy in off this support. You can ride it back up. Now, there's no telling that, when you buy here, if it's only going to go up a little bit and come down. I mean, that's just the nature of the business, okay? But what you do know is you have a support right at about $14. Now, if I go over a little bit, they, recently just did some clinical trials and blah, 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 and that's why this thing ripped up. And then some bad news broke out that one of their clinical trials didn't go as planned or something along those lines, and then you just see it tank, okay? I mean, I have a lot going on right here, but you see that the stock just tanked. Now, I was waiting to see if I could get in on support, and if you notice, support held up about 1, 2, 3. It was just riding support, and then we finally just broke through support. So now this support is no longer valid, and it's now become a resistance point. Old supports become resistance. Okay, it's just something to think of. When a stock breaks below its support, that support now becomes resistance. When a stock breaks above its resistance, it now becomes support. So remember that. When stocks break below support, they become resistance. When stocks break above support, the old support becomes, or the old resistance becomes a new support. Let's just, let's just go look at something else. What are we gonna? I have no clue what to look at. We can just look at anything. DCTH maybe. This is what a lot of people have been playing a lot lately. It's going a 20-day, 1-hour chart. So I mean, yeah, like here you could kind of see it a little bit where we had a resistance right 36 cents here a couple times, but this is kind of a bad example. What else do we have? I could just do any stock and we'll just see if we can find some type of support and resistance. This one on a 20-day, 1-hour chart doesn't have anything good. So here you go. You could use this, for example, depending on what time frame you were looking at. We have a strong support here. This is a 180-day chart. Okay. Just looking at it, where do you think the stock support is at up in this area? Well, I can see clearly that it's at about $8.13, right? We go from here over, but bam, and now you have a support line drawn. If you were looking in this time frame and at this specific time, of course. But look at you got touches $8.12, touches $8.12, bounces again, right? Touches right here, goes up. Touches right here, goes up. Touches close, goes back up, and then we finally broke through support right here. Now the resistance, a strong resistance point, was right at about, after this initial big move, the resistance point was right about $9.13, where you have the price right there having trouble getting through that spot. Now you see, now look at this channel. You have a support and resistance channel. So when the stock is right up here about $9, right here, you say, oh, too high to buy because previously we just hit that point and we sold down. You could look for a breakout of that resistance, but we know that it's hit that point 2 times, sold down, so right now is a good time to wait. I should wait to get in on this stock once it comes close to $8, and then I'll buy again. If you waited till that $8 mark, you would have made close to a $2 move if you would have bought in right here and waited. And then you say, oh, I want to get in again, too high, wait till it hits support again, and boom. So those are pretty easy examples of support and resistance. And like I said, you can find them on any time frame. 1 day, 2 day, 5 day, a million day. It doesn't really matter. You can find support and resistance. Not always, I guess, because some charts just constantly are downtrending. And then you're looking at like downward channels and stuff. But we won't get into that right now. We're just going on a basic, simple support and resistance zone. And so lastly, I mean, that's just kind of covered up. I'll do more of these videos, but that was just a basic, easy video showing you support and resistance. And like always, I like, haven't been mentioning it lately, but in no way, shape, or form am I anybody's financial advisor, and I don't want you to trade based on the way that I trade in any of my live videos or any of my trading videos. That's just a strategy that works for me. So, you're going to have to figure out what works best for you, but these videos can give you ideas and just kind of piece together all this information about the market, which will help you in the long term make better educated decisions on how you like to trade. So thank you for watching. Once again, please subscribe, because once I get that 10,000, I will be able to go live for every single day that I trade, which will make it much easier rather than doing it on Facebook. So if you would like to get into some of my live trades or pre-market analysis when I do live, you will have to send me a friend request on Facebook. The link is somewhere in my YouTube channel to Facebook, and then you can just send me a friend request from there, and I'll accept it. That way you can just hop onto my live streams from Facebook. So right now we're still working out some kinks in the software, but other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.